everybody. My name's Antonio, founder and CEO of Vallor. This day and age, I want to do a little survey here of who thinks they can reach their sustainability goals by themselves. Raise your hand. Nobody. So, when companies talk about trying to be carbon neutral, carbon negative, hitting their sustainability targets, it's a team game, and it's not just within the company. You're reliant on your suppliers, your customers, the entire supply chain to be able to reach those goals, and you can't do it alone. And so the biggest vehicle and the most important asset that you have as a company to be able to go reach those goals, other than your team and your employees, are your contracts. Contracts are the way that you're able to enforce the requirements that you're putting on your vendors. It ultimately bubbles up to holding those vendors accountable to what they promised. And so at Vallor, we tell a pretty simple story. We talk to thousands of companies, and most companies actually have their contracts become a liability, and we'll tell you why. So ultimately, contracts are the source of truth. A handshake deal, an email, doesn't really count as a real enforceable agreement. Ultimately, you need to put those things, your requirements on paper, get those commitments from your suppliers to be able to meet your sustainability targets. And so that's core to being able to reach your goals. And there's the source of truth of how you actually govern your relationship with your vendors. And so anytime there's something happening in your ERP, invoices coming in, you need to check against your contract. Things change, supply chain disruptions happen. You need to understand what's in your contract so that you can react effectively. And so ultimately, contract management is relationship management, because you need to understand what's in there so that you can react appropriately. And the only way to really reach those goals is by putting everything on paper. Now, contracts are important. What's happened is AI came along and contracts became even more important. They became more important because contracts are data. Data that used to be trapped inside your CLM systems, in repositories, in shared drives, Google Drives, all those places, and even people's shared drives, and even those filing cabinets. But agents came along, and they're able to go query and find and understand that data to a level that we can't even really understand. So it's more important than ever to make sure that your contracts are accurate, and making sure that that data that's accessible to agents and AI is, one, accurate, two, AI friendly, and three, interconnected with the other systems. And that's what Vallor does at the core. So we're essentially, we operationalize your contracts by cleaning up the data, making it accurate, making it AI friendly so that any AI can find it, understand it, and action on top of it. And then we make it interconnected. So we don't want to lock you into any specific vendor. We want to make sure that that data is accessible to any current AI that you're investing in, or any future AI that you might invest in the future. So this is foundational to any AI investments that you want to make. So agents are not going to be any good if it doesn't have all the context it needs to be able to provide you a recommendation, take action, do some reach outs, and understand what's happening in your supply chain. Now, contracts are typically a liability for most companies, and the reason for that is you lack the visibility. One, there's a ton of manual work involved with not only getting contracts signed, but also getting contracts actually compliant. And so making sure that you're following up on the requirements that you put on your vendors. And not understanding what's in the requirements for your vendors is also a liability for you, because you can't enforce that. So with all the manual work, you don't have the visibility, and ultimately you have value leakage. So I'll do another poll here. Who thinks they are capturing 100% of the value of all their contracts? Nobody. And it's fine. It's a tough problem to solve. And so that's what Vallor solves. Solutions today, they only solve for a piece of the puzzle. You either have to hire more people to go manage more contracts. Most companies have a CLM, and even then, you still have to hire people to go work on top of the CLM, because most of them are useless. And then ultimately, you have generic AI tools that everybody's using day to day, but they're lacking that little piece of data. And that's where Vallor comes in. So what we do is service as software. Ultimately, we start with your systems and your contracts to ground your intelligence on the real agreements that you have. We then connect that to our intelligence platform, and then connect it to the tools you're using day to day. That's Copilot, GPT, even your email and Claude, so that you get access to those contracts. And then our agents work on top of that with real outcomes. Clean data, contracts are reviewed, obligations are met, and you're able to actually turn your contracts from a liability that they currently are today into an asset. Thanks.